Arcane's coverage of PTR patch 4.0. I am Peppa, and in this video, I will be covering the Shadow Priest. I'm going to apologize in advance to all you Shadow Priests out there that are watching this video. I am not a Shadow Priest expert by any stretch of the imagination, so I will probably continually make your class look bad throughout the course of this entire video. I have not played a Shadow Priest seriously in endgame since BC, so it took me a while just to try to figure out, just to play all the catch-up to get to where you guys were in Wrath, and then figure out all the new stuff for Shadow Priests for Cataclysm. So, and I had to talk to a few Shadow Priests and stuff like that. So, if you see me sucking it up absolutely horribly, you know, and you just point and laugh and try to be as nice to me as you possibly can be. Pity me for my patheticness at your class. Some of the things that you're going to see in the new expansion, one of the amazing things is your mastery. You have a mastery, and one of the major mechanics of it is your Mind Fillet and your Shadow Word Pain are going to add these shadow orbs around you, which looks neat. And it's not to be confused with the Troll Shadow Priest shadow orbs from back in the day, before Blizzard removed them. They serve a totally different purpose here. It actually increases the damage of your Mind Spike and your Mind Blast for each one of these that you have. And it'll stack up to 3 times. Now, right now you don't have access to Mind Spike. It's at level 81, and I'll cover that a little bit more later. But and you do have a talent in your tree that allows you an even greater percentage than your mastery, on top of your mastery, for you to get these orbs. And if you get critically hit at any point in time, you have a 100% chance of getting one of these orbs. They can rack up quick. This is the second dungeon I ran. I ran another one earlier, and I was getting hit a good bit from like AoE and stuff like that, and they seem to be racking up pretty quick there. When you get to 3, you will actually see, and you'll see it through the course of this video, you'll see the Mind Blast will light up. If any of you watched my Fury Warrior video, and you saw the Fury Warrior abilities light up, it's the same thing. It's a big glowy light around the ability that says, hey, push me, I'm here, I want to be used. It will consume the Shadow Orbs when you do it. As far as I can tell, you do not want to work Mind Blast into your rotation on a regular basis. I'm not sure if you guys were doing that in Wrath to begin with, but you don't want to do it here, as best I can tell. What it looks like is going to happen is once you get your Mind Spike, will, every time you cast it, it gives you a buff that gives you a 30% chance on your next Mind Blast to critical strike with the Mind Blast. This can stack to 3 times, so you got a 90% chance to get a critical strike with your Mind Blast. What it seems like is that your part of your filler is going to be Mind Spike and Mind Fillet. Obviously, Mind Fillet is going to help you refresh your Shadow Word Pain damage, and does a nice chunk of damage itself. But it seems like Mind Spike's going to be more. You're going to be using that a lot more, and it does a nice little bit of damage too from what the base damage looks like so far. And I think ideally what you want is a 90% chance to crit with Mind Blast with 3 Shadow Orbs up. I think that looks like your ideal big damage situation. Yeah, you'll see me be a nub here and not hit Fade fast enough and get the crap beat out of me. Alright, and because this video is going to be really, really long and I just don't really have enough to fill it in, I'm going to cut ahead a little bit further into the dungeon and talk a little bit more about what we're going to do with Shadow Priest. Okay, one of the neatest abilities that you are going to see with your Shadow Priest, honestly, I think this is the coolest thing about the Shadow Priest that I've seen so far. Just looks-wise, it's neat. And that is Shadow Apparition. And what this does is, if you apply Shadow Word Pain to a target, when it ticks, it has a 12% chance when you're standing still to make a shadowy copy of you, an apparition. And it will walk toward the target with the Shadow Word Pain on it. It's a nice slow walk, and it'll explode on contact, doing damage. You know, it's what makes it even better, it gets better, yes, indeed, if you're moving, there's a 60% chance that you'll create one. So obviously, this is like movement fights, you'll be able to have a little bit more damage going out, and it's just cool. I mean, anytime you can make copies of yourself that walk into things and explode, that's neat in my book. I don't know about anybody else. So, Shadow Priest just look cool. And I think it's getting away from what seemed like in Wrath, a relatively bland class, in my opinion. I mean, no offense to all you Shadow Priests out there. Say, hey, I love my Shadow Priest, don't call my class bland. There is a reason why I didn't play one, obviously. It just was not my cup of tea for Wrath. It just seemed boring. This makes it fun and neat, along with a lot of mechanics in Wrath at this point, or coming in Cataclysm, rather. There's just some really neat stuff. Speaking of neat, through the course of this video, keep an eye out on the Paladin, the Holy Paladin that we have. Occasionally you'll see a laser light show shoot out of his hands. I'm interested to get the Paladin so I can actually play with this and do it a little bit myself and talk about it more. But it's called ability. It's an ability called Light of Dawn, and it's like a conal heal that they do in front of them, and heals everybody in the cone. And from what Holy Paladins have been telling me, it heals for a nice chunk. And if you have a beacon of light up, apparently all the healing it does goes to the beacon target. So beacon of light plus raid healing equals a lot of damn healing. So Paladins, from my understanding, from what Holy Paladins are telling me, they're going to be gods of the healing scene come Cataclysm. So something to think about. I haven't gotten around to really trying out any of the healing specs so far. I do plan on doing a Holy Priest eventually. I'm loathing the idea of trying a Disc Priest at all, because I've just had too much of a hard time killing Disc Priest in Battlegrounds. Damn you, Disc Priest. Why can't you just die like everybody else? But, yeah, so I'll try to get around to that eventually with Priest. I hadn't really intended on doing these Priests. I was going to work on an Arms Warrior video, but the PTR was down all day, and my Arms Warrior didn't transfer over fast enough. But hey, I got a pre-made Priest, so here you go. This is what you get. So we're heading up to the end of the dungeon here, and just keep an eye out. Just like I said, just watch for some of the mechanics that we talked to throughout the video. Something else to note is, you guys will see me clicking on stuff through the course of these videos. I am not normally a clicker, but I'm not sure if you guys are, pausing and possibly. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to maybe like pause and read the text if you can. Video quality is good enough for you to do that, just so you can see maybe some of the text that's on this stuff. See if some of the stuff changed. And that way I don't have to read it all off to you, because these videos would be extremely, extremely long if I had to read them all off to you. And some of them I just shouldn't have to. The mechanics haven't changed that much. Alright, there's not a whole lot more to cover with it. Some things are, obviously it's PTR, some things are subject to change. I would note that through the course of this entire dungeon, I didn't have any trouble with my mana at all. In fact, I don't think I dropped below 75%. Now, I don't know if that's a result so much of me just being terrible at Shadow Priest, or if it's just the sheer fact that the mana regen that you have is insane. You have that ability Masochism, which every time you're using Shadow Word Death, you're getting 8% of your mana back, and I was using it fairly frequently. Basically keeping Shadow Word Death on cooldown almost the entire time. And if you take a hit that takes 10% of your health or more, you get 8% of your mana back. So that could have been helping. But there are talents in the talent tree that reduce the cooldown of your Shadow Fiend, things like that to help you. Obviously you have Dispersion, so you have all kinds of different ways to get your mana back. I did not have to use my Shadow Fiend, and I used Dispersion once during this instance, and I used it late trying to get out of a Frost Nova, but it was more for the, to get out of the snare than it was for the mana regen. So mana is not an issue at all for Shadow Priest, and as I rightfully think it should not. beyond that, Shadow Priest all in all are looking pretty cool. I'm actually half tempted to maybe even give one a shot in Cataclysm, because I liked them in the past in BC. They were pretty fun, but they look like they're going to be pretty neat in Cataclysm. One last thing I'd like to draw attention to before we finish watching this video and you finish watching this fight is if you notice in the upper right hand corner of my screen there's like a little flame buff. It's like the very first buff, and you see like the bottom part of it's black. There's an actual number in there, and what that number is the number of buffs that you have on, essentially. Like raid buffs and things like that. If you notice, and you might have watched this through the whole thing, like, and Peppa, you're a horrible priest. You don't have fortitude on, or inner fire, or anything like that. I mean, what kind of nub are you? All your buffs are there now. If you put your mouse over that, you will see all those buffs. So I did indeed have them on. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more from the PTR.